All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our Black History Month Nutrition and Wellness discussion panel. Before we continue, I would like to remind everyone to please mute your mics and turn your cameras off in order to avoid any background noise, not to affect the bandwidth. You will get an opportunity to ask your questions once our moderator asks for those. They'll let you know. So please know that we are also recording this discussion in order to continue sharing this great event. My name is Lee Vasquez, and I am the coordinator for diversity and inclusion programs. Currently, we are under the direction of Dr. Andrew Peña. He's the executive director for human resources here at EPCC. And also with us today, we have Luz Reyes, our administrative associate. As in any event or anything that we do for diversity and inclusion, we rely on our committee members. It's not possible to do great things like this without them. So I would like to take a moment to kind of just say thank you to our committee members for the Black History Month. Shonique Torrance, Antonio Rodarte, Curtis Smith, Monica Tucker, and Anthony Robinson. Thank you so much for contributing and making helping us with these great events. We couldn't do it without you all. Also today we do have, as I mentioned, our moderator is going to Miss Shonique Torrance. I'm sorry, there's like feedback right now. She's running a little bit late, but let me tell you a little bit about Miss Torrance. Hopefully she'll join us a little bit. If not, we'll continue the conversation. Miss Torrance is the type of person who wants to bring the love and passion she has for El Paso to everyone. If we could have you all mute your mics for just a small moment, and then, because I hear like the echo back, sorry. Moving back from El Paso, Texas in 2015, she started to volunteer with the Socorro Independent School District and is currently a substitute educator there. Not so soon after that, she started her entrepreneurial journey as a travel advisor to plan family trips and getaways for herself and others. Wanting to give back to her fellow women veterans, she became a woven peer leader by the offer of the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Endeavor, El Paso, Texas. Woven helps women veterans to connect with other women to build camaraderie and sisterhood in person and online. Shonique spends her free time cheering on her daughter as she competes in her sports. She also engages with her woven sisters, conducts interviews for Black El Paso Voice, and collaborates with the EPCC as a member of the Black History Month Committee. She is also an MLK subcommittee member and is committed to staying actively involved in her community. I'm not sure if Ms. Torrance is on here already. Yes, I believe she is. Shonique,
Hi,
I know.
thank you. Hi,
I know
Lee.
you're running a little late and stuff, but that's good. You're here.
Yeah, actually, I was running from the campus. I substituted for a class of second graders. So they brought their energy and I took it and brought it here. So without further ado, thank you again for the intro, by the way, Lee. Without further ado, I am so glad to be here on this platform for various reasons, and so glad to have the pleasure of having our awesome panelists. Now, what I want to do is to make sure that we don't only share their beautiful faces, but we share their awesome background. So I will start off, if you all don't mind. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, and I think it's Helga Carrion. Did I say that correctly? Awesome, awesome, awesome. I will read your bio so that way everyone can be brought up to speed with what you've got going on in the world today. And just so everyone knows, this is going to be about health and wellness in the Black community, more so on the medical side. So if you have any questions that you did not share with us, please make sure that you provide that so we can get as much out of this as possible. So Without further ado, we have Helga Carrion. She is a registered and licensed dietitian by trade. She has extensive work experience in a variety of health care settings, including hospitals, nursing homes, adult care centers, child care centers, drug and alcohol rehab facilities, Center for Persons with Mental and Physical Disabilities, to name a few. She has been teaching nutrition at El Paso Community College since 1985 and became tenure in 2019. Since becoming tenured, she initiated a wellness program for EPCC employees in 2019. That's refreshing. She is currently the coordinator for the health professions and related sciences discipline at the Rio Grande campus. And let me see. I think that is it. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for being on board. And what I will do, oh, thank you. And what I will do, I will go ahead on and bring on, I'm going to read the other one. I don't see her here, but that's okay. I will read her bio. And this will be Melody Henderson. This is a brief bio about her and some of her works. It says that she's a national certified personal trainer of 11 plus years. She says she'll be graduating with a Master's of Science degree this May, that's 2022, in Human Movement Science. She's also a vegan who understands the medicinal benefits of a plant-based diet, and that she's been a part of various community health and wellness events in the area to bring awareness and the importance of a healthy lifestyle. We will also see a video of her creating some of her masterpiece vegan dishes during this segment. Just being truthful and honest. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, awesome. Then I will go on to Lady Karen. Let me get your paperwork in front of me because I want to make sure I get all the information out. Okay, here we go. We have before us, hold on. Okay, and while I'm looking for it, if you ladies can tell me a little bit about what is your passion for this particular segment today, and then I will chime in to go ahead on and finish off with Lady Karen Cooper's Lennon's bio. You can go first, Ms. Carrion.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all. I'm very happy and feel very fortunate to be a part of this celebration, Black History Month, and the relationship here between wellness, nutrition, and its effects on the Black community. And so my passion, it just occurred to me yesterday. I am Puerto Rican. And as a Puerto Rican, I share in some of the roots from Africa that Africans that came to the Caribbean. And so we share many similarities in our diets and food preferences. And so this has, become more personal. I have a connection to this. And so I'm very happy to talk about this. And obviously, as a dietitian, I work with, people from all ethnic groups. And I have, this interest, of course, in helping people embrace their cultures and then improve and finding areas that can be improved to increase the well-being of the peoples of the different ethnic groups. So that's kind of my passion.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Carrion. And before you speak, Lady Karen, let me go on and do your bio, and then you can go ahead on and hook us up. Is that all right? Awesome, awesome. So what we have, awesome. Who we have before you is Lady Karen Cooper Lennon, who was raised in El Paso, in the El Paso community as a military family member. She obtained her BS in nursing degree in 1983, that must be the year, and moved around with her then husband. Her last full-time nursing position was Chief of Epidemiology at William Beaumont Army Medical Center, where she was primarily responsible for the HIV education, influenza, and anthrax program. She retired in 2003 and enjoyed community service with PTA, YWCA, YMCA, El Paso Democrats and Black El Paso Democrats. She has held the presidential positions of the El Paso Black Nurses Association, El Paso Council of National Hellenic Council, and is the immediate past president of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Eta Pi Omega chapter. In 2015, Ms. Lennon returned to stay in El Paso to continue community service and is a member of Destiny Church. She works part-time as a home health nurse with La Familia Healthcare and is a Mary Kay business owner. She has 3 grown daughters and 3 grandchildren. Her favorite pastime is grandmothering. Yes, you guessed it. All right, you have the floor, Lady Karen.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. My passion is probably healthcare of African Americans and Latinas, since this is my community, this is my home. And a lot of times with me being a home health nurse, I go into homes and I see that not only the patient that I'm seeing that day, but their family is really not aware of what they should be looking at in terms of their own health. So that's what I try to educate, not only the patient I'm seeing, but their family around them.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, both of you, for being on board. And guys, guess what? Well, we can start with our questions. We have some people that are really wanting to get into your brains and find out what are the answers to these questions. The first one, what is a typical African American diet?
So I'm assuming you're asking me or both of us. I'm
Both.
Sure. I'm sure Karen can chime in as well. So I think that before we talk about, and there's a little bit of background noise. Is that on my end? Okay, better. Before we talk about what this the African American diet is, I think it's important to look at the influences and how this has evolved from the time that Blacks came to America and how they brought their own cultural influences, dietary influences, and then gradually had to adapt to an environment and had to be flexible and take what was given to them and make the best of it and survive. And so when we talk about the African American diet, we need to keep in mind that there are the influences of different cultural groups because the English were here. We had the influence of the Native Americans. We have, the Spanish that had come over here, and all of their, unique food preferences influence this diet. And so, and very interesting is, of course, that, when we talk African American diet, we normally think soul food, right? That is the typical or the idea that we have of the African American diet. And that soul food diet consists, major part of it revolves around fried foods, a lot of fatty meats, lots of rich gravies, lot of fat, lot of sugar, all of this. But keep in mind that that's not what was brought over from Africa. The diet from Africa was, a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, a lot of whole grains, a lot of just really, good, healthy food. And we have to understand that the diet has evolved, as I said, because of the different influences of all the cultures that were here. And so You know, typically when we talk about the African American diet, we think, you know, fried foods, fried chicken, ribs, high fat, delicious baked macaroni and cheese. But then there are the greens, which is a very positive aspect of their diet. And then tubers, foods like sweet potatoes and yams, which have great nutritional value. However, you'll usually find it in the form of pies, right? A sweet potato pie. Those are, and lots of sugary drinks tend to be a part of the typical African American diet. So maybe Karen can share more on this.
Thank you for jumping on that, Scotty. And definitely, you said some key words and what some of my favorite. I love my greens with cabbage. It's just so good. And the yams, just delicious, awesome. We will definitely make sure we share the stage with Lady Karen. If you can go ahead on and answer the same question, what is a typical African American diet?
Like Miss Carrion said, the fried foods. We want to add pork chops in that, because I know I can remember numerous mornings having pork chops for dinner. My parents grew up in West Virginia, and with my grandparents being coal miners, and then Alabama is where my roots are from. And with those greens, you had to have a big hog maw in there for seasoning. And I do want to mention that, you know, the chitlins that we ate growing up at one time, you know, that was the leftover from the pig. So that's what we got. And now, you know how much they cost now, right? It's not a leftover food anymore. People go to the store and buy them. But, you know, they have a lot of fat in them too, if they're not cleaned properly. But mostly, like you say, fried foods, chicken, pork chops, and the greens with hog maws. The macaroni and cheese is full of butter and fatty cheeses. You just have to, you know, but that's how we grew up. We never had a holiday without a sweet potato pie, ever. Okay, and that's another dish with a lot of butter in it. So it's very easy to see why my family has a history of high cholesterol and diabetes. You know, I'm passing it on to my children, and the Black population has a high incidence of high blood pressure and diabetes and high cholesterol. And it's from where we came from, what we started eating when we were little. And we ate it all our lives.
Very true, very true. Yes, you guys painted very vivid pictures of how a lot of us tend to grow up when we're eating something that we were raised eating. And it was out of necessity, because you're not going to go to sleep without food if it's there. And so it does raise the question. Here's the other question. What are the nutritional challenges for African Americans? Now, we've mentioned some of these things, but if we can clear it up for everyone, what are the nutritional challenges for African Americans?
Well, I would say that, first of all, you know, one of the nutritional challenges, of course, is that high fat content of the diet. And the fact that it's animal fat, which is saturated, which is linked to heart disease, etc. But specifically in terms of the diet, there is a lack of variety. You know, we're missing out on fresh fruits and vegetables. And so one of the things that we want to encourage and teach people to consume is, you know, more of the fresh. You know, it's wonderful. Very interesting. I found that actually African Americans on average eat more leafy green vegetables than other Americans. However, mostly it's cooked. And as Karen mentioned, you know, it's got fat added to it. And I was thinking, actually, even in my own culture as Puerto Rican, we make beans, we put fat in them, we put bacon in them. My mother still cooks with bacon in beans and in anything because of that flavor. So those are some of the challenges. The other thing that I found is that African Americans eat more legumes. Legumes are the dried beans and peas. So the black-eyed peas, very nutritional. So that is a positive aspect. But the challenges, as we've mentioned, is the fat, the high fat content of the diet, the lot of sugar in the diet, a lot of processed foods. And again, where did that come from? That was adopted from America. The processed foods and the refined foods, etc. So those are probably the biggest things. We do see deficiencies, greater deficiencies in African Americans of vitamin E, B6, calcium, magnesium, zinc. And that's all due to the lack of the variety and the high amount of fat found in these diets. So I would say those are probably the biggest challenges, and the sugar that we all love.
Thank you for that. Now, would you concur, Lady Karen, or what is your response to that?
Well, I know the biggest response is being a part of the Clean Plate Club, having to eat everything on your plate, i.e. not stopping when you're full. And that's also a bad habit that can contribute to overeating and eating too much sugar, fat. And the older we get, my grandchildren's generation, they don't get home cooked meals as much as I did. So they go to the fast food that has a lot of fat and salt and sugar in it.
Yes, I would definitely say that. Being around teenagers, ooh, it's kind of scary, but it's so hard. So what do you say to, let's say you had a class full of young people and they are wanting to be athletes and want to have a healthier lifestyle? What would you say to them in regards to what they need to do in regards to making changes to their diet and just their overall lifestyle? Lady Karen?
I would probably, because I had athletes, my children were athletes. I made sure that they had fruits available, cut up fruits. You have to make it something that's going to be easy for them to get to and easy to eat, because they're not going to just grab an orange, but they will grab some orange slices that are already peeled and cut up. So you have to make it, because that's what fast food is. It's easy to get. It's easy for them to go to the drive-thru and get it. But if you can have those items at home already prepared and more nutritional, you can raise your children to be have their diet more nutritional. I know I have one granddaughter. She likes every kind of vegetable. She'd prefer to have water than soda. And her favorite snack is a pickle. But that comes from the way her mother, we teach children how to eat. And so that comes from her mother providing her with healthy snacks. I had one child that liked all vegetables, and my child and my granddaughter are the only children that I've seen that'll eat every kind of vegetable, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and she'll prefer water over soda. You just have to train.
And you know what, that is so refreshing, because when we're talking about young people, even because we all started off young, we know what we end up growing into and the habits that we end up forming. So great things to share, because without them being taught, it probably will not change. Did you want to chime into that, Lady Carrion?
I just wanted to add that we have an opportunity with young people to change, and it does take modeling, it takes education, and so I think it's important to emphasize, because in most ethnic groups, food is related to social interaction, and culture. And we hold on to that culture. We think that we're honoring the culture by continuing those habits. And I think that what's important is that we let people know, we're not giving up and we're not letting go of the culture. We're just going to make this, healthier so that you can live longer, healthier lives. And so with young people, it is about, education and having the right, good, wholesome foods at home. And frying less and teaching them that, the difference between these high fat foods versus and the convenient foods, the fast foods that a lot of them consume, and saying, these are the effects. And you know what, this is delicious. And I have a similar example. I have a nephew that, since he was little, he loved vegetables, every vegetable. And he has grown up. And if you still give him, put in front of him some choices, he tends to always pick, the veggies and the fresh fruits. And so it can change. And I was reading a beautiful article that's saying that, from the millennials on forward, that we are seeing a willingness to at least adopt. There's a little resistance still in the older generations, but we've seen some positive changes, and we just need to keep, emphasizing this and modeling for our youth.
I agree with both of your responses because it's so true. The modeling, the education, just the teaching and giving them choices that are going to be a better fit for them. So also too, because the question that was raised and you've answered it, but maybe if they want more clarity, can the African American diet be made healthier without giving up the culture? That is a deep question because the culture, as you all have mentioned, both have mentioned, is so deeply rooted in fellowship and eating at the table and where the food came from and the symbolism behind all of that. So, can you clear it up a little bit more in regards to can the African American diet be made healthier without giving up the culture? And if so, what are some of the tips and the tools? Who wants to go first? It's up to you, ladies. Lady Karen, you can go.
Yes, I do think it can be healthier. My family likes salads, and I'm talking about the family that I raised. We like salad, and as we know, lettuce does not have a whole lot of regular lettuce does not have a lot of nutritional value. But if you make your salads with spinach, dark green vegetables, you can get more nutritious value in it. And all my children love salad, and so do my grandchildren. So it's just what you introduce to them at an earlier age. And I know with my family, I know in my generation, I was probably one of the few of my classmates that we still sat down every day and had dinner in the 70s. Okay, I think that started waning maybe in the 70s, but we still sat down and had dinner. So when I became a mother and I was a working mom, I would make sure that I started whatever I needed to for dinner. And then after I got off work, I'd run home and finish it. And as soon as Dad got home, we still would sit down and eat dinner as a family. So you're talking about 80s and 90s. So now my children make sure that their kids sit down and have dinner. And I don't think there's hardly any families that do that now. But I think that as a cultural norm or a practice that you can keep, because that's the one thing that we did in our household, and I've passed it on. And eating the salads and the more leafy vegetables. And my father used to have the city of El Paso has sections, park sections where the elderly can have grow their own vegetables. So my dad would grow his own vegetables. And so in my family, we always had fresh tomatoes or corn or cucumbers. So I think that's probably where I was able to keep that healthy part of the diet going. Because my daughter, I had one that loved cucumbers, and her daughter is the one that eats pickles. So you just have to work at it, just like you work at other things and teaching them manners. You need to work at giving them the correct meal.
Very, very true. And you know what? In talking about that, it was mentioned about heart health and heart disease and things of that nature by you, Lady Carrion, and then both of you working in that field. So one of the questions was, what health effects have been linked to the African American soul food diet? Can we speak on that, Lady Carrion?
Yes, absolutely. What we see, and I was, looking at the numbers just so that I could share some more up-to-date information. But, three main aspects or health-related or diet-related diseases include, one, obesity. And we see, and one of the numbers that, was surprising to me was that African American women have the highest rates of obesity in the country compared to other groups in the country. And so we know that there are many, health challenges related to obesity. The other one, of course, is cancers. And I found that African Americans have the highest mortality rate of any racial and ethnic group for all cancers combined. So we know that that diet plays a very important role in chronic diseases. And so, cancers was the second. The third was heart disease. Because of the high fat diet, of course, and actually, more specifically, we find a lot of hypertension, strokes also were listed, and just, cardiovascular disease. And so one of the things that I found, let me see, one of the numbers I found is that African Americans were 30% more likely to die from a heart disease than other groups. And women were at higher risk than, were nearly 60% more likely to have high blood pressure compared to other groups. And then finally, of course, diabetes. And we know that non-Hispanic Blacks were twice as likely as non-Hispanic whites to die from diabetes. African American adults are 60% more likely than non-Hispanic white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes. So these are some of those, these are the major chronic illnesses that Americans in general are plagued with, partly because of diet. It's not all diet, it's, whole lifestyle, of course. But African Americans seem to have higher risks in these areas.
Thank you for sharing that. And some of the stuff I've come across comes very close to that as well. What has been your experience, Lady Karen, in regards to some of those numbers and what you definitely experienced with your family and people around you in the community?
Well, the numbers are accurate. With the American Heart Association just finishing up with their Go Red for Women, which is the first Friday in February, one of the numbers that I found was that the African American women, the leading cause of death is heart disease for us. And as a result of those fatty foods, we have high cholesterol that clogs your arteries and and you have high blood pressure. But I also want to mention that it's only when the American Heart Association started talking about heart disease for women is because the medical community was not identifying women as a risk. So if a man came in with chest pain, he would already get the workup. A woman, black or white, would not get the same workup because they didn't feel like the heart disease in women was as prevalent as men. Now, that's between men and women. Now, as far as African American women, historically, the medical community thinks that African American women can take more pain. So when someone comes in complaining of heart disease or heart pain or chest pain or any kind of pain, they kind of like wave it off. But now, fortunately, that's trying to come around, but it's really too late for it to be coming around now. But so we're not taken seriously about what we're feeling. So you really have to be an advocate for yourself to complain about, I mean, when you complain about pain, and be specific, and you keep going until you find someone that's going to listen to you.
I agree. Good stuff. Real good stuff. I see both of you nodding when I'm posing questions, because that is that experience, the expertise, the areas that you've worked with in the populations. So here's another question. So if for whatever reason you had a chance to create your own utopia and you had a community of African Americans, aka Black Americans, what would be the first three things that you would do to assist them with creating a better quality of life?
I'll go first. Number one, I would definitely check their diet, make sure they're eating healthy. And another part that we lack is exercise, even if it's just walking, because that can help you maintain a good cholesterol also, and it'll also combat the obesity that we have. So those would be the first two, your diet and exercise. And you just have to get into the habit of eating correctly. And, if you do it enough days, it will become a habit. And I can't think of the third one.
Well, you
Maybe
said
you could.
routine. I got that, Lady Karen. You said routine. Good job. Yes, definitely. Lady Carrion?
I would echo what Miss Karen has mentioned. Of course, emphasizing the importance of healthy eating, moderation in eating, hydration, which is all related there, and then absolutely the exercise, the importance of exercise. And don't know if you all are aware, we've been involved in a Get Fit Texas challenge, and the whole idea is that we encourage people to move, right? Incorporate movement into their daily lives. But the third thing that I would add was probably stress management, self-care, people taking care, and learning how to manage stressors. I, see the students in my classroom, and, they report that, they've got 2 jobs and are going to school and have families and are doing, and the amount of stress that they're experiencing is just, I, can't imagine. And so I think that, we know that at EPCC, we have a mental health, program, and I think that this needs to be, taught. I mean, how do we deal with all of this? So those are the 3 things that I would look at.
Awesome.
And probably related to that, sleep, the importance of good sleep. So that's kind of related to the others as well.
Awesome. Yes, very good answers. And I would definitely say, from what I've experienced going through the stressors of the day-to-day, it could definitely cloud your judgment in regards to the healthier options, and cause you not, if you're pulling the all-nighter, let's say you're college students, like you mentioned, not necessarily getting that sleep, getting up at 2 a.m, but you were already up. So definitely taking all of that into account. I would love to ask too, excuse me, what is going on in the Black community in regards to, since we talked about exercise earlier, swimming. What is your take on swimming and its benefits in the Black community?
Well, I can speak from my experience. Fortunately, living my first, second, third grade, I was living on post, so we had access to the replica pool. So it's really comes around about when you're talking about access to having a swimming pool around. Of course, the YMCA's are here and they have pools, and I was fortunate enough that my father had our pool built because I was asked to leave a pool in the 60s. My friend, who was white, was asked to take me away because it was a private pool. I didn't know. I grew up in the Northeast, and so my dad was overseas at that time. So when he heard that story, and we were renting, so when he heard that story, when he came back and my parents purchased a home, the first thing he did was put a pool in the backyard. So me and my brothers, we grew up swimming, but a lot of Black people don't. They're afraid of water. They don't want to get their hair wet, and they can't swim. But that's another thing that you should teach your young children, as opposed as when you're talking about healthy eating, get them in those swim classes young. When my twins were 6 months old, I had them at the YMCA swimming. Me and my mom would take them and have them swimming. And then my grandchildren, they all can swim. That's something that you find that not too many Black people, unfortunately, uh, whether they don't like to swim or they don't know how to swim. I find that a lot in the Black community.
Very, very, very true. And that's how a lot of us grew up in the Black community. It was like, how can I mess up my hair? Uh, I just got it done. It was either pressed or just a lot of labor. It was a labor of love, but a lot of labor went into it. So that was definitely true in through from my eyes as well. But it's a new day. It's a new day, and hairstyles are even being taken into another level to where they're more natural, where we can actually do things like swimming and going to the beach and things of that nature. So that's awesome. Here's another question. But before we do, we want to go ahead on and share the information on the vegan dishes. Since we had talked about diet and talked about healthier options, I'm excited to see this video. It's about 6 minutes. So I want everyone to pay close attention to the vibrant colors of the food and imagine yourselves taking a deep breath and sniffing it and smelling what you would smell at your regular table versus the vegan table. And then let's just see how we talk about that afterwards, shall we?
I agree with you, Ms. Renique. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes. Thank you, Luz.
You're welcome. Um,
Okay, it disappeared, hun.
okay. Hi, I'm Melody of Melody. Can you see it there and can everyone hear it?
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
I'm Michelle Fitness. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your Black History program. I have also been a vegan for 10 years, so I wanted to share with you guys some vegan soul food dishes, some of my favorites that I grew up loving, but I will now be making them vegan. We're going to have barbecued ribs made with jackfruit and Impossible Burger. We're going to have collard greens. Typically, we kind of season that with, smoked turkey necks and things of that nature. We won't be doing that today. We're going to have Jiffy cornbread. It's vegetarian style, but instead of using egg and milk, we'll be using coconut milk and flaxseed. And then we have our macaroni cheese. The noodles are already boiled, but we'll show that later how we'll be preparing that. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up everything to make the vegan ribs. Again, we have the Impossible plant-based meat. We're mixing that in with some jackfruit, 2 bags of jackfruit. This is barbecue, but you can have plain. have on gloves because you're gonna get your hands a little dirty mixing this up. I'm gonna add some diced onion, maybe about 2/3 a cup of onions, if that. Liquid smoke, teaspoon of that. Then we have our smoked paprika. And you season it to taste. You know, I didn't measure a lot of the seasonings because everyone has different how they want it seasoned. This is onion powder, then some garlic powder and sea salt. So that's how we'll be seasoning the ribs. And we'll mix that all up together. The jackfruit, you kind of have to separate it because it comes in chunks. So I have to separate that jackfruit just a little bit, and that's going to give the texture of the gristle that you bite down in those ribs. The jackfruit kind of gives that gristle texture. All right, so the ribs are already mixed up, and now we're going to lay this rib mixture in this lined greased cookie sheet. So you just lay it on the cookie sheet, and then we're gonna spread it out and shape it into the form of a slab of ribs. And then the oven is already preheated to 375. The ribs do have to cook for about an hour. So we're gonna shape it to kind of resemble what looks like a slab of ribs. And that's it. In the oven it goes. Okay, so now we're preparing the collard greens. I just started with a little bit of water in the pot. I'm gonna add some olive oil, maybe a good tablespoon worth, some sea salt, and then I'll add the greens to that. These are already cleaned and washed collards. Put these down in the pot. And then the trick to seasoning vegetables, so that, you know, if you're used to seasoning with meat products, just season it with additional vegetables. So what I did is I cut up some peppers and onions. So I'll add that to the mix. In addition to the peppers and onions, I have my favorite, which is the Better Than Bouillon seasoned vegetable base. So a good teaspoon of that. And what we'll do is we'll bring the greens to a boil, and then we'll let it simmer until they get nice and tender. In addition to the Better Than Bouillon, I still like the collard green seasoning. I already did the sea salt in the water, and then I add garlic powder, and onion powder, and smoked paprika, of course. If you're used to putting smoked meats in your greens, then the smoked paprika or either liquid smoke is a good substitute for that. Okay, so I've now put the boiled macaroni noodles already back into the pot, and I'm just going to add a can of coconut milk, butter. I already put 2 tablespoons of butter into the pasta, 1 can of coconut milk. I already pre-measured a cup of just vegetable stock, and then everything else is pretty much to taste. The nutritional yeast, you can use as little or as much as you like. I kind of like a lot. However cheesy you like your macaroni cheese is how much nutritional yeast you need to put in. So in addition to the nutritional yeast, the coconut milk, and the vegetable stock, we just season it with some salt, pepper, didn't get the pepper down, salt, pepper, and then we have our shredded vegan cheese that I will put on top once I lay it in the pan. And that's how we'll be preparing the macaroni and cheese. So So everything is now done. We have our vegan ribs. I went ahead and sliced those up. Collard greens have been simmering for about an hour. Mac and cheese has come out of the oven, and I didn't film the cornbread. However, cornbread is done, made with ground flax seeds, almond milk, and olive oil with vegetarian jiffy mix. That is our vegan soul food dish. Remember, guys, eat veggies, not friends.
All right. Eat veggies, not friends. I
Love that. I automatically am ready. I'm ready to have a plate prepared and everything. How about you, ladies? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I don't speak vegan. I am learning to slowly but surely start to eat healthier as I'm getting older. Because that taste is just you have memories of how you grew up and the first time you had that sweet potato pie and the first time you had that piece of fried chicken and macaroni and cheese and stuff. But it's a mindset. So I thank you both for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. At this time, do you have any questions or any tidbits that you'd like to share with us before we move on to the next thing?
I was just going to add that at first I wasn't quite sure why we were incorporating this vegan aspect, and I understand perfectly, and that was wonderful that the young lady was able to take the typical, soul foods and make them healthier. There was this other choice that's available for everybody. And whether you choose a vegan lifestyle or not, we can still incorporate more veggies and non-animal products into our diets. And, many years ago, I made a choice because I had cancer, made a choice to become vegetarian. And I got involved in the vegan diet for a little bit of time. And although I didn't continue vegan, I was vegetarian for many, many years, and find myself as I've gotten older returning back and incorporating more vegetable-based meals into my diet. And I encourage others to do so as well. So that was great. Thank you for having that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Lady Karen?
No, I don't have anything else to add. It was very, very informational, and I screenshotted a couple of those recipes. Yeah, to give to my daughter because I don't cook; she does the cooking.
I love the strategy. Love it.
Yeah.
Lady Carrion, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say that part of what I've done, and this is not a plug for anyone in particular, but in El Paso we have there is a company that prepares, like Freshly and some of these companies that do prepare meals because people are so busy. They are vegan, and I've had some of their meals and they're absolutely wonderful. So they add so much flavor, and it's like you don't miss the meat at all. But anyway, we have that here in El Paso, and my niece turned me on to it, and she moved out of El Paso and she's not found anything like it. So yay, El Paso.
Yes, yay, El Paso. That's a good tidbit, and hopefully we get the details so we can share with anyone asking and for us to maybe meet up there one day. Who knows? Who knows? But thank you so much, ladies. I will grace you with my beautiful presence and say hello so we all have beautiful smiles and live a healthier, smarter lifestyle. Thank you so very much. I will turn it over now to the hands of Luz and Lee with El Paso Community College.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Shonique. Thank you, Ms. Cooper and Helga. Thank you so much. It was very informative. I know we could keep on going on and on because this topic there's a lot of questions, a lot of stuff that we need to learn. So I think it'll be good. Hopefully in the future we can have you all back and we could discuss even further. But before we go, I just wanted to share with you all a few things that are coming up. Um, Let me bring it up on our screen. Let's see if it comes up. Okay, so we have the conversation is going to continue. Our next discussion panel will be on Thursday, February 24th, and this one will be from 4 to 5 p.m. It'll be once again through Teams. Ms. Shonique will be our moderator again, so we're excited about that to continue having her. She's done a great job. We're going to be talking about mental health and testing in our next discussion panel, so make sure to join us for that. You could go to our EPCC Diversity and Inclusion webpage to get the link there, also to our social media accounts. The direct link is on there also. So make sure to join us. Also, I wanted to remind everybody that our Black History Month committee and us with Diversity, we are offering a Black History Month scholarship. So we partnered up with EPCC Foundation, and we have that scholarship going on. If you go to our EPCC Financial Aid /scholarships webpage, you can find the link there. Also in our social media, it's on there. We are going to be taking applications up until March the 31st, so we still have plenty of time. So make sure that you spread the news out. If you know anybody that is a graduating senior that could apply, or a current EPCC student. And we're targeting right now the African American community. So the scholarship is available. It's out. We're going to be giving $1,000 for a full-time attendance, or $500 part-time attendance. So any bit helps. So I encourage everybody to please try out for this scholarship. Also, we wanted to once again provide the information for Miss Melody Henderson. She did the vegan dishes. We did provide the link on our chat. So, but this is her information. If you wanted to ask her any more questions that you might have on vegan dishes, what to substitute, or anything like that, her email is right there. She does have an Instagram and a Facebook. Another thing that we want to invite you to, we are celebrating Black History Month through art and conversation. We have partnered up with the El Paso Art Association. Ms. Carla Zanelli did a great job interviewing two of our local artists. We're still waiting on one video for Michael Novotny, but you can find the Alice Ada Ayers on YouTube. Go to our EPCC webpage and you'll find the link there. It's a wonderful journey that she does. Her art is amazing, so I encourage you to please look them up. So this is Art and Conversation through the EPAA with Carla Zanelli. Also, if you needed to contact the Diversity Inclusion Programs, here is the information for Dr. Peña, Luz de los Reyes, and myself. Feel free to give us a call or send us an email if you have any questions or would like to partner up with us if you want to be a presenter or have an idea of what you would like to see. I did also provide a link on our chat to please fill out a survey for us. Let us know how we did, how we can improve, and different topics that you would all like to see us do. Once again, we are on Facebook and Instagram, so make sure to visit us there to get any of these events. And last but not least, our diversity webpage. You can visit us there for all the links, all our calendars, and everything. So thank you once again. And I'm here. Thank you once again for joining us today. And have a good day, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you all. Very good.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a blessed, healthy day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.